everyone. It is Self-Care Sunday. Sunday, I tell you. Self-Care edition. How are you tonight? What are you grateful for this Sunday night, the 11th of December? Are you rocking your December? Let's see if I can get my big screens going here. Boom. There we go. Hey, Kitty, how are you tonight? What are you grateful for this Sunday night? Boom, what's going on here, computer? Tell me about your day and what you are grateful for. Hey, Julie Jankowitz, it is great to have you here. Oops, what happened to my... There we go. Now I've got my views. I got all my views going. It's hard. It's hard to function without all your screens going the right way. It is great to have you here. I am thrilled to hear you got a day off today, Kitty. I am thrilled to hear that. And that you got at least phone time with Sarah. In-person time is always better, but I am glad you at least got phone time. We are broadcasting tonight on both Facebook and YouTube. Any problems with Facebook, hop right on over to YouTube, because you're not alone running this store. And Cassandra's got the link there for you right in the Facebook comments if you have any problems with Facebook. Julie got help from Angie this morning. It's always better when we get a little help from our Angie. I liked your tree in your yard. Dan hit a home run with that. I saw that picture of your light up tree. I didn't show that to Rylan. I bet your Rylan would really like that tree. That I might be allowed to have a blow up thing. I was allowed to do blow ups in the yard once. One time I was allowed to do blow ups in the yard. I had this elaborate system of hundreds of feet of electrical wire. I was allowed to do that once because we have a big, I had them all the way down there at the front of the yard and everything. I did that once, and the Jewish guy with a Lexus got a real tree once. That was an interesting experiment. Did it once. And I was in dress shoes out at the tree farm, just shaving the tree. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I still did it. I thought that was great. Oh, it was. They saw me coming. They sold me everything at that tree farm. And you can only imagine what Cassandra and Nana thought of that. I picked Rylan up from school that day, and I'm like, let's go get a real tree. And she thought that was great at the time. And then, stomping through the tree farm, and then the saw, and then how do you get it on top of the car, and what do you do? Hey, Florida Angie, how are you? I remember going with a guy that worked for my father. I used to go help one of the pharmacists that worked for my father. But I was more keeping the kids busy. I didn't really know what I was doing. Wasn't paying attention to the whole tree process. I was doing that and then helping lift the tree and stuff like that, but I didn't know what all I was doing. But one time, we have never done that again. I have never been allowed to do that again. At least I'm good. I make my mistakes once. But your rainbow tree, Julie, is something special. We actually have I think we still have, in one of the stores, we have a rainbow tree that they spray painted. That they spray painted one year to make it. Your aunt had a Christmas tree farm, Kitty? No way. That's awesome. I love that. Let's get started here tonight, folks. Let's get started on this Sunday night. We start with our Stay Positive book is where we start. That is where we start tonight. We are on page 168. Oh, no, hang on a second. Yeah, 168. Show up, do the work. No matter what anyone says, just show up and do the work. If they praise you, show up and do the work. If they criticize you, show up and do the work. If no one notices you, show up and do the work. Just keep showing up, doing the work and leading the way. Lead with passion. Fuel up with optimism. Have faith. Power up with love. Maintain hope. Be stubborn. Fight the good fight. Refuse to give up. Ignore the critics. Believe in the impossible. Show up. Do the work. You'll be glad you did. True grit leads to true success. Life is about showing up. Yes, it is. Trees were $2 to $5. Oh my God. What are they now? I think even at the firehouse, is selling them. I think they started something at the firehouse tree sale when I was driving by there. So yeah, I mean you can't, and I think they go way up from there. I mean, I've heard about the stories of getting a tree in New York City, and you got to get the guy on the street, and they deliver, and there's always a got to get from this guy, not that guy. But what the heck do I know about doing a tree? I do try to help make the lights work on our tree when we get it, but we haven't set up a big tree this year, because we're going to be away and because of everything else going on in the world and all the stuff we've got to do. So that's okay too. There's lots of stuff going on. A lot of good stuff going on, and so I wanted to talk about that tonight, because there is a lot of good stuff. We're here a third of the way through December already. I know, the pace that the month goes as you're dealing in these holiday months, where you're basically on a race from just before Thanksgiving. Some would even say Veterans Day through, or Halloween through the end of the year, and we are on that race. But this is not a it takes a special person to be able to deal with it and not stress over it, and you are special people. So that is awesome. I got faith in you. As we roll through this, these crazy times. Um, but we're a third of the way through December, so we're only 20 days till the new year, 20 days and stuff. So close this year out super strong. That is where we are headed. We are headed for a super strong finish, and there's a lots of good reason. Um, in lots of different categories that are doing well. Lululemon touted their biggest day ever on Black Friday as sales jumped 28%, 28% on Black Friday. Um, Costco sales are still growing, although the level of growth has slowed slightly. Um, as shoppers are buying less big ticket items. Hey, Carrie, great to have you here from Florida. Um, sales are up. Stores that have been open at least a year are up 7.1% in the quarter that ended. Their quarters are a little weird. Their timeline is a little weird. Ended just before Thanksgiving, uh, and exclude currency fluctuations and gas sales. The only interesting part about that is that is their lowest level of growth since the pandemic started. All their growth has been over 9%. Their lowest growth prior to that is was 9%. Um, but the interesting thing for Costco was that their online sales actually fell 3.7%. But their people are coming in the stores and they are buying. They are in the stores and they are buying. We made a very quick Costco trip yesterday, and yes, people had very full carts in there. What they're buying is costing a little less. They're not, again, buying as many of the high ticket items or as much of the furniture, but they are buying, and so that is key to all of this. Um, that is key. And Wendy's actually became the most expensive fast food chain in the U.S. according to new data. Their pricing for their meals and their food has now put them at the top. I don't know that you want to be at the top of the most expensive, but I'm gonna cover something on that in a second. That would you rather have more revenue or more units? Think about that for a second. Would you rather have more revenue or sell more stuff? Give that some thought for a second because we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail in a second. Let's do Sunday night trivia here because I do have Sunday night trivia. And Sunday night trivia, remember, 3 of these stories are real, only one of them, only one is fake. Can you spot the fake story? Hot Pockets released limited edition cargo shorts with an insulated pocket that keeps the Hot Pocket, well, hot. A Florida woman has sued Kraft Heinz, alleging Velveeta's microwavable shells and cheese takes longer than advertised to cook. Miller High Life has released a High Life leg beer lamp tower that you can actually drink from. And Taco Bell has introduced a set of extra loose pajamas so consumers can get stuffed on its holiday tacos. Which of those is the fake story? Did Hot Pockets release limited edition cargo shorts with an insulated pocket that keeps the Hot Pocket, well, hot? Did a Florida woman sue Kraft Heinz, alleging Velveeta's microwavable shells and cheese take longer than advertised to cook? Did Miller High Life release a High Life leg lamp beer tower that you can actually drink from? Or did Taco Bell introduce an extra set of loose pajamas so consumers can get stuffed on its holiday tacos? Oh, you guys are out there with the guesses. No, Hot Pockets is real, Julie. Hot Pockets is real. They have you can. Maybe you need to get those for Dan for Christmas. Maybe you need to get those for Dan for Christmas. Hot Pockets is real. I know Nano likes anything with pockets, so maybe she would like some Hot Pockets. And Taco Bell story is real as well, Kitty and Gary. They have introduced an extra. Oh, excuse me, my mind. The Taco Bell story is the fake story. I'm losing it here. Taco Bell is fake. But they do have an ugly holiday sweater. So in case Marianne needs a gift for Zach, Taco Bell does have an ugly holiday sweater. But that means that you can get a Miller High Life leg beer tower that you can actually drink from. We were in a restaurant yesterday that was doing these massive, I have a picture of it someplace, glasses of mimosas and different champagne concoctions that people were getting. I forget how many ounces it was. They were using a ladle to take people at the table. It had straws in it too, like a scorpion bowl, but they were using a ladle to get the drinks out of it. It was crazy. And really, my favorite out of this was the woman that sued Kraft about the Velveeta's microwavable shells and cheese taking longer than advertised to cook. The at issue was opening the box and reading the instructions. So not the microwave time of it, but the actual opening the box of it and reading the instructions was her issue. Okay, you can't make stuff up. Which leads me to how Wayfair's vendors are colluding against it. 3 of Wayfair's vendors were sued this past week by Wayfair for an elaborate scheme of shipping fake stuff so you would say you didn't get it, but you wouldn't receive it, or you'd receive an empty box, and Wayfair would then contact the vendor and have them ship you another one, which Wayfair would pay for both of them. The vendor didn't assume any liability in that. Wayfair took on all the liability, and Wayfair found that these 3 suppliers colluded together to do this scheme, and were doing it repeatedly. to the tune of millions of dollars to pilfer Wayfair for millions of dollars. Um, Sales tax revenue. I just wanted to touch on this for a second because this is interesting as well. So, sales tax revenue is down this November versus last November. It's not down. Let me rephrase that. Its rate of increase is down. Okay, so the rate of increase for sales tax is down. So it's only up one in Massachusetts, for example. It's only up 1.2%. This is similar to what other states have been seeing in that their sales tax revenue isn't as increasing as at as fast as a rate as it was. But what is increasing is meals tax and other taxes that states are collecting. So don't feel bad for your state. Don't like get out your wallet and say, where do I send extra money to the state? Okay. The states are doing just fine. They still have record money coming in, record money way above budget, most states. Um, so another good economic sign. So, as we continue in this, I mean, you're almost at 3 full years in the pandemic. And because the virus is still real, we just before coming on, something that's going to be out. So the virus is real. People do get sick. Hopefully, if they're vaccinated, they don't get sick badly. They're only out a week. So things are better. And a sign of that is Cracker Barrel. And what is really a good sign for Cracker Barrel and the overall economy is, um, and if you've been to a Cracker Barrel, okay, other than during the pandemic, you'll notice some older people go to Cracker Barrel. I like Cracker Barrel too. Okay, nothing wrong with Cracker Barrel. Okay, it's good comfort food. Cracker Barrel is good comfort food. But Cracker Barrel has seen a huge drop off in patrons 65 and older. But they are now seeing a return of those patients. In the quarter ending October, the end of October, their quarter ending the end of October, Cracker Barrel have seen a return to pre-pandemic levels of patrons 65 and older, which is really good. Okay, and that's if they're out at Cracker Barrel, they're out at your store. Okay, so that is really good. Okay, they are also seeing have been able to draw in younger crowd with increased social media marketing and new menu items. So they've adapted. Okay, think about that for a second. Think about that adaptation. Okay, they have adapted. Okay, how do we hit some younger people? Okay, we're going to need to do some social media. Okay, and we're going to need that some of our older customers are not necessarily paying attention to us as much on. Okay, one. And two, okay, we need to have some menu items that will bring them in, that'll make them want to come in. And so between the surge of both, Cracker Barrel is really seeing a resurgence in business and far exceeding pre-pandemic levels, which is really exciting because the lessons learned in that are things that we can apply to our own businesses, your store, things that you are doing in your store. Hey, free food, prizes, and gifts with purchase. Always gets them in. Hey, yes, it does, Rose. I always like free food. Nothing wrong with that. I even got to lick the brownie bowl tonight because Sandy was making brownies. Uh, you're having a holiday open house and ugly sweater contest. Awesome. I love it. That is going to bring the shoppers in and get them shopping. I know you were doing holiday candy cane cash. And I am so excited for you. I'm so excited for all the good stuff that is happening for you. But remember to take time, Rose, for self-care. You have a snow machine outside. I literally have snow outside. Tonight was the first night we had plows on the street. We don't have a lot out there. It's more just a little slick and that first snow type thing. but we had plows out there on the street. That's awesome, Rose. I am so excited for you. I am so excited for you. But make sure you are taking time. Eh, make sure you take time. Well, I love walking down Disney with hot cocoa and when the snow's falling. I think I am 10 days away, something like that. I'm 10 days away from the next Disney trip, 10 or 11 days from our next Orlando trip. But the most important thing you got to do, Rose, is take time for self care each and every week. Do not forget that. Do not forget that. Do not forget that. So I gave you the choice, the thought a little while ago. Would you rather sell more stuff, have more stuff sell, or would you rather have more sales? Okay, more dollars or sell more units. Okay, so if you're comparing this year to last year, what would you rather have at the end of the year? Would you rather hear that your sales are up in units or your sales are up in dollars? Well, it's the most important thing, Rose, is to take time for you because you can't do everything else if you don't take time for you. You put on your oxygen mask first. But what do you guys think on that? More sales, more units, higher prices. There you go, Rose. Higher prices. Well, that is what has got Wall Street excited about Campbell's soup. Okay, so Campbell's soup is sales are up. More dollars, less work. Exactly. So Campbell Soup sales are up 15%. 15% Campbell Soup sales are up. Yes, they are. That's not a bad deal. But they're units. They're units. They're units. Okay. Their units are down 1%. Their units are down 1%, and they're selling it less stuff. Okay, lower cost of goods sold, lower material costs, less cans, less aluminum, all less labels, cans, all of that, and their sales are up 50%. Okay, that's not a bad deal. That's not a bad deal. We're going to be talking about ways to, because it is so incredibly important. It is so incredibly important that we increase efficiency. You have to constantly. I have been talking about this. I've been beating a drum, beating a drum here on that. Okay, and I do that because your costs for other things are going up. So you have to get more efficient. You have to be more out of everything you do. And as we head towards the end of the year, I will be sharing numbers and statistics of how people are doing that because it is so incredibly important that you adapt and you continue to innovate and look for new ways of doing things. And there are more incredible ways of doing things than ever before. So I knew they wouldn't, Rose. They would not complain. Well, and you're serving your customers better. Just all that clearance that we did, Rose, is serving your customers better. They can see all the great inventory that you have. They can see all the great inventory that you have. So, it is doing that. I have two other business notes that are just kind of interesting this week. Okay. Um, if you happen to look at the New York Times this week on Tuesday, so the New York Times has gotten a lot of news this week. Um, One, because on Thursday they had a walkout and all their staff was urging you not to use the New York Times on Thursday. Well, that plan backfired because people didn't want to ruin their Wordle streak. So people would go to New York Times sites to do their Wordle, and that didn't work. But interestingly, in the first time in the 171 print year history of the New York Times, there was only one advertiser last Tuesday. There was only one advertiser throughout the whole paper, throughout online last Tuesday, and that was General Electric. General Electric did a takeover of the New York Times last Tuesday uh, for the rebranding of its separate customer companies that they created. They're newly created public companies: GE Healthcare, GE Vernova, GE Aerospace, and they took over the entire New York Times. I don't know whether that really works for bang for your buck any more than a Super Bowl ad does, but it is an interesting concept. And also an interesting concept that, bigger isn't better, or that the power of the big, okay, in squeezing out the little guy. Keurig Dr. Pepper. So Keurig, the K cups for your coffee, and Dr. Pepper, they're one company, okay, is looking for a new public relations agency. And they've been getting some flack from it because their payment terms are net 360. Net 360. So for everything that they have you do, they will pay you just shy of a year from now. Just shy of a year from now, they will make their payment on that. And I just think, especially the way companies pay late, anyways, the big guys always pay late. I just thought that is a ridiculous concept and ridiculous idea. Especially, I really work hard with the little guys, especially my little vendors. I try to pay them extremely fast. I don't like the math. I don't want them waiting for me to pay them. But that is the interesting side of things. There, you can't take that is a new thing. The current their bills for a whole year. How do I sign up for that? I don't here. I don't even know how to. But what you can sign up for, if you did not hear me the other night, if you have an SBA EIDL loan, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, with the Small Business Administration, you can get a deferment. Payments are starting to come due for many of you, okay, that have a loan with the SBA. Yeah, it's worse than a lot of places, net 360. I was like, am I seeing a typo here? But with the SBA, you can get a deferment on your loan, okay, in 6-month increments. So if you have a payment coming due, you can sign into the SBA portal, request a deferment, and you can get them in 6-month deferments. They will automatically pretty much grant 2 6-month deferments. But you still have to pay 10% of whatever your payment is. So if you have a $100 monthly payment, you have to make a $10 payment. Okay? If you have a $100 payment, you have to make a $10 payment. If you have a $200 payment, you have to make a $20 payment during each of those 6 months. So know that is there. Know that is an option for you. Okay? Should you need it. But it doesn't stop interest from accruing, and it doesn't stop you from owing it. But if it gives you breathing room, I'm okay with it. I'm all okay with breathing. I want you to be able to breathe. And if that's causing you a heartache or keeping you up at night, feel free. All you got to do is log in and click that you want to be able to do it. It is not a big deal. And if you don't have an account, just click create an account, and it's very easy. Well, easy is a relative term. It's complicated, but their helpline is very good and can get you through it. So, let me know if you have any issues, but it is an option available to you. You know what else is an option? This video and everything I talk about, goes over to the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store. You can like, comment, subscribe, and oh yes, you can ring that bell so you know when another one drops. You can also share it with everybody you know in business, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, so we can help everybody grow their way out of this. I am here every Sunday and Wednesday at More 8 than Ish. I will not be here this Wednesday. I am on the road this Wednesday. I am in Iowa this week. Angie and I are in Iowa this week. So I will not be on this Wednesday, but I will be back next Sunday, the 18th. I will be back next Sunday. the 18th. I'm looking forward to that. But if you have a question in between, just email me, Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com, Neil at ECIstores.com. We start this program every night with the Stay Positive book. The Stay Positive book is where we start. Tonight we are on page 168. Show up, do the work. No matter what anyone says, just show up and do the work. If they praise you, show up and do the work. If they criticize you, show up and do the work. If no one even notices you, just show up and do the work. Just keep showing up, doing the work, and leading the way. Lead with passion. Fuel up with optimism. Have faith. Power up with love. Maintain hope. Be stubborn. Fight the good fight. Refuse to give up. Ignore the critics. Believe in the impossible. Show up. Do the work. You'll be glad you did. True grit leads to true success. Culture isn't just one thing, it's everything. It's not just one person, it's everyone. Everyone on the team creates the culture. It's your culture. Own it. Make it great. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah even. We will party again. We will party in person. When we do, I'm going to be there with you. But until then, and until next Sunday at More 8 Than Ish, know that you, but most importantly you, yes, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you next Sunday. It's time for dessert.